What's up YouTube? Capital G here. Got a really cheeky replay for you guys, and this one is going to be Lewis Fox pulling off the Jackpot 7 OTK. For those of you who don't know, because the card is super duper obscure, Jackpot 7 was an alternative win condition. I'm just going to guess off the top of my head. I'm going to say Clash of Rebellion is when it was released. If I'm wrong, if it's doxed, then just go ahead and correct me. I feel like it's somewhat recent, but anyways, the card is an alternative win condition. It's more comparable to something like Destiny Board than Final Countdown, because at least with Final Countdown, like, you know, Tyler Tabman like topped the YCS, and there was a time where like it was an annoying deck and it was actually seeing a little bit of meta play. This deck will probably never see a meta play, and that's just because it's so difficult to trigger Jackpot 7. It is an alternative win condition and it requires a couple of cards. Essentially, you have to get your opponent to send your copies of Jackpot 7 to the graveyard. It doesn't really matter how they get to the graveyard. It just has to be by your opponent's card effect, and when 3 of those get in the graveyard, well, each copy banishes itself, and then when 3 are banished, then basically you end up winning the duel. The problem is you can't even just set it and expect your opponent to like Twin Twister it or MST or something like that, or maybe nuke the board with like a Judgment Dragon, because as soon as someone realizes you're playing Jackpot 7, they will not blow up your back row anymore. They'll just be like, nope, nope, nope. I'm not going to help you beat me. So basically you have to get them to help you beat themselves, which is incredibly difficult. But this one actually revolves around Sheen Spy, which is a card that we showed off in that how to make 3 copies of Shooting Quasar Dragon and 2 Seafers turn 1. So this is like a little really stupid obscure card where you literally just give your opponent a monster until the end of the turn. And this one revolves around Dark Scorpion Burglars. Now this is a really old card. I want to say the Dark Scorpion Burglars, like they're the individual monsters, like you know, Don's Lug, and I want to say one of them is like it's like Cliff the Trap Remover or something. Like, it's the dude from Trap Dust Shoot. That's all you need to know. I think these cards came out in like Pharaonic Guardian, but this one revolves around these 2 cards, and then you need something that is very small, like a little teeny beater one that floats upon battle destruction. You need something like Marsh Macron or Petting the Dark Clown. This card would have actually been really good back in the day if it didn't always miss timing on everything, because like it is a crush card target, and you know, it can actually float if it's destroyed by like Torrential Tribute or something like that. The problem is it just misses timing, and it means you can't tribute it, and it's just like, oh man, it's just too many things wrong with it. But you're going to take these guys and you're going to ram it into the Dark Scorpion Burglar that you give to your opponent. So let's go ahead and play it. It's a very simple play. It requires 3 cards. You do run things like double summon in this deck, because if you want to do it in 1 turn, it requires 2 normal summons. You run things like 1 day a piece. If Chicken Game was legal, you'd run that too, because you don't really care about life points. Jackpot 7 is the win condition. So you summon your Dark Scorpion Burglars, you give it to your opponent, and then you take your Marsh Macron and you ram it into that thing. And then when Marsh Macron obviously dies, it gets another copy of itself, or a couple of copies, and you just ram them into the Dark Scorpion Burglars. See, the thing about Dark Scorpion Burglars is, if it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, they have to destroy a spell from their deck, which means that your opponent controls it, so you have to send a spell from your deck to the graveyard, and it is not optional either. If Dark Scorpion Burglars does the battle damage, they have to do it. It's absolutely 100% mandatory, so as long as you can crash into it, you can pretty much win. Now, the only real kind of like kink here with this deck is, if you draw a copy of your Jackpot 7, this play will not work. Like, you'll have to essentially activate it and put it back in the deck before you can go with this play. The problem is your opponent will probably play a little defensively. Like, maybe if you summon this, they might, you know, be inclined to use Solemn Warning, when generally if they didn't know you were playing Jackpot 7, they would just think that, oh man, this is just a scrub. This is a free win. I'm just going to leave this on the field. You know, I'm just going to let them do it. You know, there are cards that they might get from like Pot of Duality or whatever that could potentially stop this, like you know, Book of Moon or something like that, when they might not be inclined to get those cards if they don't know what the heck you're playing. Maybe they assume that you're playing, I don't know, Monarchs or something. You see this guy's running an extra deck. You don't need an extra deck for this. You could literally just say, I'm running no extra deck. Monarch, Domain Monarchs all day. Psych out your opponent or whatever. But this is just a little nice replay for you guys. Don't ever expect this deck to be competitive unless Konami makes a way to like make this super consistent as far as destroying these cards from your deck with your opponent's card effect. I don't ever think that this is going to be like a consistent, this is going to be a deck that's going to be like tier 6 forever, guys. But anyways, I think it's just interesting to show off some plays with this deck, to show it can at least be played on a fun level. If nothing else, maybe just a troll level. Thank you guys for watching as always.